Hey, good Friday morning, everybody. Meteorologist Greg Majewski back with you here in the North Georgia Majestic studios with the weather report exclusively for you Facebook subscribers and YouTube members here on your July 24th, 2026. It's also Free Sampler Friday, so everybody on Facebook and YouTube gets today's report, and it's an opportunity for you to become a YouTube member or a Facebook subscriber and help us on our mission to turn this into a professional 24-hour weather channel. Every dollar counts, and I appreciate y'all's help. All right, let's go ahead and get into today's update as we've had some rain falling around this morning. Blairsville not looking too bad, but they've had rain there in Helen and Brazelton and Dahlonega. It's been definitely a damp morning, to say the least. There's the overhead shot there in Helen. Definitely some low clouds there in the mountains for this morning with the rain falling across our region. Also getting some rain over into the Athens campus as well, as it's getting wet there at the UGA and over at UNG. Over there in Dahlonega, you see the rain there, a little wet lens there for this morning. Dalton camera's down right now, so we'll go over to Sky Valley, and yep, same story, looking a little wet up there in extreme northeast Georgia as well. So let's go look at our current weather map as we've got this stationary boundary kind of sitting in here, and that's going to be the focal mechanism that's going to help, again, enhance the rain threat. So we've got a high water content in the atmosphere right now, so these things will come down in buckets. I'll give you an idea. Overnight, near Alpharetta and Suwannee had 4 inches plus of rain. Again, localized pockets here, and we're going to have that again for this afternoon as well. I want to go ahead and zoom in here a little bit closer because one thing I want to point out here is a little stationary boundary. If you're on the other side of this front, you got temperatures there in the 60s. I mean, Cornelia's at 67, Toccoa's at 68, 68 there in Gainesville. But on the other side of that front, it's sitting there in the 70s. So you see 77 there up there in Marietta, 79 down at the airport. So yeah, a little bit of a cooler down there on the other side, a little bit of maybe a weak wedge you can call it there for this morning. So that was interesting. Satellite picture showing us, obviously, we're going to be cloudy for today, and the temperature is going to be kept down as a result. It wouldn't surprise me if guys up there in the northeast Georgia area stay in the 70s all day. Would not shock me in the least. Now, we are going to be watching the excessive rain threat. This is only really for today. Things really start to back off here once this thing begins to wash itself out. So let's check the next 5 days on this forecast here. There you go, going into Saturday, showing some painted there, and the Sunday, it's gone. Although I do have the rain threat kind of out of our area for Saturday and bringing it back on Sunday. I'm going to show you the rapid refresh and why I'm doing that. And then looking at your Monday clear and Tuesday also dry. So we're going to finally dry out, and we're going to heat up for next week big time as a result. Now, looking at your severe weather out there right now, only some marginal there right along the Carolina coast, a little bit of southeast Georgia, but really not looking bad here. Saturday, just a general thunderstorm threat across the southeast, as well as Sunday. All right, now we do have a couple, obviously we still have the watches in place for right now that we're going to have to watch out for. So here is the latest watches. Again, you can see the flood watch is still up there for parts of Alabama and Georgia here for today. This expires tonight. So once we get past this, we should be seeing things improve here for our weekend. Local radar, here's where those rains are currently falling right now. You see some of those heavy rains there up across parts of North Georgia, Northeast Georgia, coming into the Gainesville area as well, and coming in toward Sugar Hill, Flowery Branch, seeing some stuff over toward Winder and down toward Boswick. So we're definitely getting a bit damp up here. Dahlonega getting rain, obviously, and going up toward Clayton, Northeast Georgia, near Tulalip Falls and Batesville, getting a little damp, a little wet there as well. So a little wet of a wet start here for this morning, so you guys just take your time if you come across one of those little downpours. Look like they're pretty good here and there. All right, local temperatures looking like this, as we just showed you. Those temperatures very comfortable here in the northeast Georgia area, but much milder on the other side of that front. And as we take a look at our model data here, okay, so what this model is showing us here for the weekend is, looks like we're in store. I'll back this up here again. It looks like we're in store for some, looks like a line of storms here coming in potentially this afternoon. See that kind of coming on through here? So that's looking pretty wet. And then going in for tomorrow, not really showing much here. A couple of spotty showers, but keeps Georgia clear. All right. And the high resolution was showing the same thing. So I went ahead and took it out, but it does show a cluster of showers and storms kind of rolling in Alabama here coming into Sunday. So I took the rain out for Saturday, put a scattered storm threat there on Sunday. Now, if the 12Z day run comes in and it suggests some scattered storms and Saturday, I might put a rain chance back in there, but I don't think it'll be overly high. But this will probably be the last of this. Once this goes on by and then we go into Monday, it dries right out. So Monday's looking good as we start the new work week. All right, so here's the rainfall totals again. Depending on if you get one of these gully washes, or you're like 3 inches and 2 inches there, and over an inch, 2.5. And based off what we saw last night, it could even be a little higher than that. I think this may be underestimating potential rain totals, but just you get the idea. Where we got the flood watch up, we're gonna have pockets of some heavy rain we need to watch out for. All right, got something in my eyeball. All right, let's go into our highs for today. Again, wouldn't shock me in the least to see Northeast Georgia stay in the 70s. Look at the Carolinas on the 70s there on the other side of the front, and everybody else here in the 80s. At least it's not hot today. That's the good news there. Going in for tomorrow morning, again, looking at most areas in the 70s, a few upper 60s up there in the mountains, and your daytime highs on Saturday on this model here, showing temperatures, in the 80s and some 90s down south of Interstate 20 for the most part. Looks like Atlanta southward, a little hot there on the high resolution, but we should see things really heat up big time going into next week. All right, let's look at the jet stream. A couple things I want to point out here. We're still fighting that big dome of high pressure out in the west. That has been a real pain. Setting record highs all over the place. The Southwest I saw Phoenix at like 118 the other day. So it has been very hot. So this dome is just sitting there. So going into the weekend. So there's our high pressure sitting right there. We still are having this bit of troughiness here in the east, okay? So that is going to be lingering a little bit. That trough does tend to lift up here just a little bit here going into next week. So it's going to, but again, you kind of see that another trough coming here toward the end of next week. See that coming down the east coast there? But that big ridge is just sitting, it's just spinning around, just sitting there. All right, then it looks like it starts to break down a bit, finally breaks down toward the end of the month. Like toward the end of the month, it's gone. See, by the third, so by the time we get into the end of the month and going into the first of the month, it starts to flatten out, and then we got a zonal flow. And this is what we typically see in the summertime. Usually, it's just a little zonal thing. The amplification of the jet stream this summer has been very interesting to watch, and if that pattern continues in the fall, man, I'm telling you, really, I'm really concerned about potential, maybe severe weather becoming a problem. We'll have to watch for that. All right, so let's look at your forecast here as we're looking at the trend here is definitely. Looking at a better forecast. It's going to be drier for our area. So it looks like we're going to see that move on in here. Let me go ahead and slow this down for you again here. Oop, get the right one open here, dummy. And you can see, again, it's just drying out. It's just getting very dry. So stop that back. Okay, so you got some, it's still showing some spotty rains there on Sunday. You see that. We talked about that. And then Monday, nothing. And anything after that looks pretty spotty. We might have a day where you get an isolated storm or two. Like there, it's that one's showing like Tuesday night, Wednesday, something coming down that way. And not a whole lot of rain here. So a lot of what I'm going to show you here on the rain total stuff, looks like the best rain chance is coming back on Sunday. It was tracking yesterday, Saturday, Sunday. So right now it's showing Sunday in about 10 days. Another little system kind of coming in here that day. And then it dries out again. So no major, that's probably the only major system I'm seeing is going into the following weekend. So the rainfall totals you're going to see here, this is your 7-day total. This is predominantly what's going to fall for today and maybe through the weekend. After that, it's pretty much dry. So going Monday through Thursday next week. So very, very dry. So the 7-day totals here are looking not bad. We'd say 2 inches plus in some zones. And the 10-day total, not really changing all that much, and then take it all the way out the end. Then it gets a little wet there toward the end. I remember we were showing that other system coming in after 10 days. See that? Boom, we got a real big rise after that. Okay, so here we go. Let's talk about this. All right, we got below. We're looking at below normal temperatures here. That's going to stay in place for today. And going into your Saturday afternoon, still looking at below normal temperatures here. All right, still looking at that. Going into Sunday, this is the European model, by the way. Sunday, still below normal, but not by much. Starts to recover just a bit. All right, then we go into your Monday. Monday afternoon. Yeah, definitely starting to see above normal temperatures start to return. So by the time we get to next week, we're expecting above normal temperatures back in here. Again, here's your Tuesday afternoon. 5, 6, 7, 8 degrees above normal. So Wednesday afternoon. Now, Wednesday, it's trying to bring us some storms, but you're still seeing a lot of red on this map. So still looking at above normal temperatures, maybe near normal up into the mountains, but not bad there on Wednesday. How about Thursday? Thursday afternoon, Thursday at 2 o'clock. Seasonable for parts of North Georgia and then a little bit above there. So the trend is definitely above normal for most of next week. So there's your Friday, definitely looking warm on your afternoon temperatures there. And then going into that weekend, next Saturday. Wow, that's a lot of tens out there on next Saturday. And then Sunday, of course, is when that rain's supposed to come in. Here comes that rain. Boom. Yeah, there it goes. And it drops us back down again. So all next week is looking definitely looking with above normal temperatures here for the week. So as we take a look at those temperatures, we ought to look to Saturday. We'll start from Sunday. This model here is a little cooler than what I'm going for Sunday. I'm kind of heating this up a little bit more on Sunday. But going into Monday afternoon here, and you can see low 90s, 80s, getting back to reality. So we're back to the heat once again for next week. Going into your Tuesday afternoon. I mean, look at this. We're getting 89 in Gainesville, 93 in Atlanta, 90 in Calhoun, 94 in Madison. So, yeah, we're back to the heat. Yeah, definitely looking at 95. And just very, very hot back here once again. It's chill. We're getting ready to flip into August, so we're not too far from fall, folks. Hold on. There you got the hot weather there on Wednesday. A lot of 90s out there once again. And those feel like temperatures will be getting near the century mark. So it'll be pretty hot and steamy in some locations. And then going into your Thursday, again, more heat. And finally on Friday, we always go out 7 days here on this. Whoops, sorry about that, went too far. Friday, still holding into the 90s and 80s up in the mountains. So get ready to go back to reality. Enjoy the little cool down we're going to have here. Now, looking at the climate outlook here, you see here we're pretty much a little bit above average. That's what it's showing. I concur with that. They finally backed it off a little bit. When you only see that very light tan there in the area, it's a few degrees. It's not that big a deal. But you look at the below normal up there into the northeast, they got that. And then going to the 31st into the first week into August, still calling for above normal temperatures. And as far as precipitation is concerned, pretty much it's saying average. Okay, it's not saying wetter than normal or drier than normal. It's kind of keeping it status quo. What I'm seeing, I would say probably drier than normal is what I would go, at least a little bit. But that's what the Climate Center's put out here for now. We'll see if that changes going into next week. So the 7-day forecast for you guys. Okay, this is what I got for you. Okay, so got the rain chance out for Saturday. I'll look at the day run. If it looks like it may pop some more storms in there, maybe I'll put a slight chance in there. I got 40% because that little cluster of storms coming in on Sunday that the rapid refresh is showing, and just plain old hot, mid-90s by Tuesday. And that's, of course, at the Gainesville location there. And then we're kind of tracking off. So Northeast Georgia mountains, you guys will stay in the 80s here for the most part, but it'll be creeping upward. It'll be, getting closer to the middle to upper 80s for you guys up that way. Now, I do appreciate you guys checking us out. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Again, we'll be watching this closely to see where our showers and storms are going to pop for today. And again, I want to thank all of you Facebook subscribers and YouTube members. Again, without y'all's help, definitely couldn't be able to do something like this, and I do appreciate it. All right, you guys enjoy your weekend. We'll talk to y'all next Monday, and we'll talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.